Hey everybody, sorry about that. I'm still getting used to actually streaming. I mean, I guess it's gonna take, 50 or so going lives till I actually get the hang of it. Well, welcome in. You already know what we're doing. We're continuing work on this mathless RPG I've got going. I turned up that music just a tad. Turned down the rain sounds a little bit as well. Just not too much, not too little. Okay, there we go. Call that good. So thank you for joining, those of you that are here. Thank you for watching this or re-watching this if you're not live. That's alright too. I didn't expect this to be too big of a stream, seeing as I gave everyone, I don't know, an hour's notice. Usually, a day would be nice, so sorry about that. I had some planning snafus and life things going on. All good things. Nothing bad's happening. Today, I wanted to go over probably the most important part of this game, and that is I want it to be homebrewable. I want it to have no math. I want it to be genre and setting agnostic. I want it to have no races and classes, and so far all of those things I've completed. The last thing that I want to get done before I start actually playtesting this thing is I want to put together templates so that people can easily homebrew their own character attributes. So the quick synopsis I can give of this is actually, let's see if I can pull up the important thing that I could just read off to you. So I have here, I'm not going to show yet because we're still playtesting it. I won't show it on screen, I'll just read it out. So what is D13? Working title. I am definitely going to change that. I don't like it. It's just like something short that I can name all the files on my computer. D13 is a TTRPG that doesn't require math. Too many TTRPGs choke up intense action scenes by requiring players to calculate damage or add up modifiers to a roll. When you roll dice in D13, you will know immediately whether your character succeeded or failed. No arithmetic required. With no math being required, D13 is easy to learn and even easier to play. D13 is a genre and setting agnostic TTRPG. Dungeons & Dragons brings to mind epic fantasy worlds with elves, dwarves, swords, and magic. Cyberpunk Red elicits thoughts of futuristic cities, corporations, and cybernetic enhancements. Call of Cthulhu is a staple in the investigative crime, cosmic horror RPG genre. But each of these have starkly different rules, use different dice, and are specific to their genre and settings. So if you're tired of your D&D game, you need to either learn an entire new system or invent a ton of D&D material in the genre that you want to play in. This is not a problem with D13. D13 allows complete freedom with character creation. Instead of limiting players to a certain number of classes, races, or ancestries to choose from, a character in D13 is built using a few individual abilities. In the character creation chapter, you'll choose a few biological traits, some trained talents, some things your character struggles with. If you're rewatching this and have seen my other stuff, I have renamed flaws to struggles because flaws has a bit of a negative connotation to it. Like, you can be, I don't know, blind And you might not see that as a flaw, but it is undoubtedly something that you struggle with. So I've changed flaws to struggles. Let's see, where was I? A couple pieces of equipment, and if you're feeling fancy, some sorceries. That's what I'm calling the magic in this system. These things can be applied in any combination. If you don't see what you're looking for, you can always make your own. The rules for making your own character attributes are in Chapter X. Need to work on this still. That's what we're doing today. I will give a quick rundown of how to play so we can keep that in mind. Because that's how we're going to be, I don't know, trying to keep these templates balanced in some way if we can. So this game revolves around checks. When a player character, or PC, attempts something difficult, the player rolls a check to determine if the PC succeeded. This is how it works. First, the player's character attempts to do something, find a key, punch an enemy, lie, etc. The GM sets a difficulty between 1 and 8. A difficulty of 8 means about 80% of quote-unquote normal people in the game's world can complete this task. If more than 80% of people could complete the task, no check is required in order to complete it. A difficulty of 1 means only 10% or fewer of quote-unquote normal people in the game's world can complete the task. Some checks will be impossible for PCs to succeed at, and in those situations, the GM should not allow a roll. For example, flapping mundane human arms to fly. Like, that's unreasonable without some superhuman ability. Then, once that difficulty has been determined, somewhere between 1 and 8, the player rolls dice to determine whether they succeeded or failed. Which die is used depends on the character's traits, talents, time to update that, struggles, equipment, and any active wounds. If none of these affect which die is rolled, roll a d10. This game doesn't have any d20s. It is... Originally, I wanted a game that uses d12s a lot. And I figured that this is what came of that. I mean, it's not using d12s as much as I originally would have hoped, but I'm still very happy with what it's become. There's no d20s because the difference, like that scale is weird. Like, it goes from d4 to d6 and increases by 2 to d12 and then increases by 8 to d20. If there were D14s and D16s and D18s, those would definitely be part of the game. But those are extremely difficult to find, and I don't want to make weird dice a requirement. I want the dice you need to be able to be found in, your local game store. I was originally going to go with all D6s, but there's already a lot of systems that do that, and I didn't want to look like I was ripping anyone off. And I also just really enjoy using weird dice that don't usually get used. Like, most games use D20s. I wanted to shy away from that and use the other dice more often. Like, anything but D20s and D6s, and that's what's happening in this game. That music's a little loud for me, again. Probably for you guys too, so I'm going to turn it down a little more. There we go. Music, as always, as you can see in the Spotify stuff in the bottom, is by Michael Gelfi Studios, composed by Philip Melvin and Michael himself, some of them I believe. Super easy to find. All their stuff is on YouTube. They got a couple Patreon exclusive ambiences and music, but the rain sounds that you're hearing right now and the music are from Michael Gelfi Studios. Everything I'm using is free. I use it in my game, like every single game. I've got something from Michael up. Great guy, great stuff. I've been a fan of his for longer than I've been a content creator, so I'm really happy to be able to share his stuff with other people. Anyway, moving on. So the player has rolled dice. If nothing about their character affects what dice is rolled, they roll a d10. And the last step is the easy one. If any dice that are rolled are at or below the difficulty that was set by the GM, it is a success. That's the rule. So you can roll it with that number in mind. Say DC is 2, really something really difficult, and you roll the die and you roll a 1, immediately you know it's success. If you roll a 5, you immediately know it's a failure. You don't have to do any arithmetic or math to figure that out. You might have to do some like looking through your character sheet to like find what dice to use and how many to use, but that is not math, and I wanted this specifically to be mathless, and so far I think I've done it. Let's see. So that's the basis of the game that we are working with. All the characters are at character creation, I should say. You get 2 traits, 2 talents, and 2 struggles. Those are just attributes of the character, and I'll show you a couple of them right here. Let's zoom in so you guys can actually see them. So these are some examples of struggles, and on like little cards that I've put together for this. So one struggle is that you are deaf. The type of check that is affected is any check that involves listening. This X here is specifically to indicate what die is rolled, if any. In this case, there's no die rolled along with this struggle, so just put an X there. And then this spot right here is for the description of what the struggle is, and any art that you want to like sketch on it, or like drag and drop into the actual card. Ooh, it sounds like we may get a Hugo today. Hugo, come on. I know you know how to open that door. There he is. Big stretch. Sweet boy. Let's see if we can get him to... No, he doesn't want to go up on his usual spot up here. He might. I hope he does. Anyway, this is what struggles pretty much look like all the time. There's another one over here. You can struggle with being unintelligent. This is an example of one that uses dice. So if you're unintelligent, any check that involves critical thinking uses a minimum of a d12. That's it. That's the rule. You cannot, like, even if you have a check, like, even if you're trying to figure out how to tie a knot, and the rope you're using allows you to use a d8, which is a thing in here. If you're using silk rope, that piece of equipment allows you to use a d8 for that check. But if you're trying to figure out how best to tie someone up, the DM can say, no, you struggle with being unintelligent, so you have to use a d12 on this roll. There are other ways to, get a good roll out of that. You have something called an effort pool and the help action that allow you to roll multiple dice, but they all have to be d12s. And the percentage of succeeding goes up drastically when you roll multiple dice, and it's just a couple of rules that make a huge effect on the chances of succeeding. So it is cheaper to, help out an ally than it is to, oh no, the sound disappeared. Let's loop that. That's better. Anyway, it is much easier to gain bonuses to rolls using your effort points and the helping each other than it is to level up and get new abilities that allow you to roll lower dice. Buddy wants attention. Well, he wants to play. I really need to get like a cat cam or something. I mean, this is good, but he's not always here, so I need some sort of way to point the camera at him, show you guys what Hugo's up to. So that's struggles. And I guess since that is first on this document over here, that's what we'll start with in here. So, oops. We'll find the struggle portion of my document over here. Then we'll be able to just drag and drop. Oh, I haven't done anything with it yet. Do I even have a template? Yes. Okay. So, paste. Hit return a bunch of times, bring it to the top, and here we are. So these are struggles now. And we're trying to, with this stream, I'd like to turn this specifically into something that is workable in the sense that people can read this and create their own struggles. If they like, only going to provide 9 different struggles to choose from. There are a lot more struggles than that in the world. And in fantasy worlds, even more so. So I wanted to allow players and GMs to create their own characters, and giving them this tool will allow them to do that. Well, not create their own characters, create their own character attributes. So it's like it's like homebrewing a new class. But there's like very little work that goes into it. You can look at it, follow these rules, and be able to create your own struggle and have it still be balanced in the grand scheme of the game. Balancing is very difficult, so these rules need to be very well honed. There's going to be a lot of play testing that goes into this, and today we're just going to do first drafts pretty much. Sorry. It is so freaking cold in my apartment right now. I love the cozy, warm feeling that the cold outside brings, but, you know, sometimes I just wish the heat worked faster. Like, the heat is on, but I turned it on like 2 hours ago, and it takes 4 to get going. So I've got warm tea in the meantime. And a blanket on my lap. Okay. So, how was this worded up here? Struggle creation. Then you create a struggle. Follow these rules. Make some bullets. I don't know the hotkey for that. We'll just leave this open. You guys don't mind, right? Right? I have not been keeping an eye on chat. Aw, but that's okay, because no one's here. Well, streaming to an empty room, or at least what YouTube thinks is an empty room. Sorry if you're watching this and YouTube doesn't think you are, but I'm seeing one watching now, and that's me. So let's go with some struggle creation and find out if it might be because of that snafu at the beginning. I had to create a new stream link. Damn. Well, since no one's here, I'm gonna take a real quick detour to delete that 15-second live stream. Let's see, content, or just make it private, I guess. I've had a few views, so live, 15 seconds, public, private, save. Okay. Yeah, people should actually get the gist when they see what's happening. What's the buzz? Tell me what's happening. Alright, back to it. Sorry about that. Struggle creation. When you create a new struggle, follow these rules. Let's bullet them. The struggle must prevent the PC from making a check or making a check, doing an action, or gives a minimum die of a d12. Minimum die for a certain check. Of d12. Okay. Oh, the struggle must have a name. Why is it bold? The struggle Lust Have a Name. Type of check affected. The struggle. Struggle must affect. Oh no, that's the next point. You've got that covered. Yeah, struggles are easy. They're super easy to make. So all the struggles that I have, double check that they all follow this. They all prevent the PC from making a check, prevent the PC from doing an action, or gives a minimum die for a certain check of d12. That's a d12. This is also a d12 for social checks. This is preventing, this qualifies. So technophobe, check, type of check affected, technology, I guess. No die, but instead you cannot use equipment that runs on electricity. Makes sense. Struggle is paranoid. Type of check affected, danger. When you fail a check to determine danger, like looking for enemies and stuff, you believe you're in danger for 24 hours and cannot make checks to determine to find danger. To find danger during this time. So that does qualify because it prevents people from making checks. It has to happen under a certain scenario, but it does prevent them from making checks. So that qualifies. This one's classic. Struggle is physically weak. Type of check affected is strength. The die here is a d12. So strength-based checks you make have a minimum die of d12. Cool. That's all well and good. Ginger mango tea is great. Two of my favorite things, blended together in harmony. Another struggle could be you're a hoarder. So the type of check affected would be barter or trade. Maybe put barter/trade here. Then the X, because you cannot trade away or sell equipment. I wouldn't call that a check. I guess it is. You cannot trade it away. You can still give it away for free, let's say. Your equipment can still be stolen. And you can give your equipment to party members. There. Gotta have some way to get rid of stuff, right? And the last struggle is cripple. Type of check affected, obviously, is movement, and a d12. Movement checks you make have a minimum die of d12. Perfect. All 9 fall into this thing that we've made, that they must prevent a PC from making a check, doing an action, or gives a minimum die for a certain check of d12. Perfect. Struggles are done. Let's move on to talents. No. Traits? Yeah, let's do traits next. Traits are going to be a little tougher because they're bonuses, and they can be more complicated. Oh, sorry. Stretching just feels so good. Okay. Let's go ahead and... did promo this, right? There's still nobody's here. The largest of sads. Well, I'll be nice and assume that everybody is at the D&D Newbie Sessions Winter Game Day. Oh, it's because my own channel. Duh. That's annoying. There we go. Maybe some of my friends will show now. We'll see. Why are you freaking out, Hugo? Stop opening the door, it's cold. Alright. Wow, wow. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but he's meowing like crazy. He's like, we don't give him catnip that often, but I feel like he just found it somewhere. Anyway, traits. So here's what I've got so far for trait creation. Traits are biological attributes of your character that give them bonuses to certain checks. Or give them certain passive abilities. When creating your character, you can pick 2 traits from below or create some of your own. Jeez. Calm down, buddy. He's insane. Alright, at least he's hanging out with us now. Even though he's trying to find ceiling bugs or something. Trait creation. Traits are biological attributes that character... Yeah, went over that. Fixed it. When creating your character, you can pick 2 traits from below, or create some of your own. If you create a trait, here are some guidelines and a template. Well, we worded that differently. When you create a new struggle, follow these rules. When you create a new trait, follow these rules. The trait must be an inherited biological feature of your character. The trait should not allow checks to be made with a D4 or a D6, because then you would get those dice at level 1, and I definitely do not want that to happen, because the scaling of how this game works is insane. Like, the difference... There's a 25% chance that a D4 will roll a 1, which is an auto success on any check. Any die can get that. On a D6, that's about an 18% chance, and on a D8, that's about a 12.5% chance. That is not linear scaling. The difference between a D4 and a D6 is much larger. Oh, bye, Hugo. Much larger than the difference between a D6 and a D8. So D6s and D4s should not be allowed at level 1. D8s are okay, because you're only going to have a couple of instances where you can use those. If the trait is too powerful, consider how the world would react knowing that people with a certain ancestry have this ability. If you accidentally make a trait that is too powerful, consider how the world would react knowing that people with a certain ancestry have this ability. If you live in a dark world and the genre is, I don't know, dark fantasy or something, then people that can fly would be, I don't know, they could be at maximum enslaved as a race because of that ability. Make them go up high and collect fruit from impossibly tall trees or whatever. I don't know. But the world could react viciously to the people that have a powerful trait. So if this is really it, has to be an inherited biological feature and can't use a D4 or a D6. The trait must give... the trait must give the PC a... What did I say up here? A passive ability. Or allow D8 on certain allow a D8 on checks using their body. Sure. checks that rely on a body part? Because some of the traits we have are like, there's one for every sense, like good sight. Any check that involves vision, you can use a D8 on it. Or any check that involves hearing, you can use a D8 on that. That's another trait. Another one is smell. Another one is taste tester. Any check that involves tasting, you get a D8 on. These are not scaling. Vision's almost always going to be the best one of those to take, because vision checks are used all the time. But I didn't want this to be balanced from the get-go. I wanted this to be... This isn't really a game for power gamers. Because there's things that are obviously better than some. But I think it would be interesting to see someone that can taste things really well. What's he going to do? Is he going to lick that rock to find out who passed by 10 minutes ago? That's insane. That's hilarious. Amazing. I love it. Is he going to look for the tracks of the person that passed by 10 minutes ago? Like, that's not new. That's not interesting. That's not funny. So I wanted to give these checks, and I wanted to give traits a very wide spread of like useful and good. Or would you not pull down my tapestry, please? Pretty please? You okay with that? Climb down. He's a good boy. So I think this works. The trait must give the PC a passive ability or allow a D8 on checks that rely on a body part. On an inherited... On the inherited... biological attribute. And he's gone. Yeah, that'll work. Let's go through and make sure that this fits everything that I have in traits. That's equipment, trait. Sleepless, biological attribute. You don't need to sleep. This could be for being undead. It could be an actual feature of whatever ancestry you have. So I'm considering getting rid of these. Like the affected check, none, and a dice X. But they're kind of important for other stuff. So I don't know. Anyway, sleepless. You don't need to sleep. That's the biological attribute. Description, you cannot sleep and you cannot dream. In order to benefit from a rest, you must do light activity for the entire duration. You know, that makes sense. That fits in. It's a biological attribute. Can be inherited. Trait. Photosynthesis. Biological attribute is to heal in sunlight. This is very, very solar punk vibes. The affected check is none. No die affected. But when you spend 4 hours in direct sunlight, you can remove 1 wound. This trait does not regain health, only removes wound conditions. So, real quick, some things, when they hit you in this game, some monsters have an ability. In fact, I think I might give it to most monsters. When you get hit with an attack, you lose 1 health, and in most cases, suffer 1 wound. And the effect of that wound can be different depending on what the monster is. Like a goblin's sword is not going to wound you in the same way that a dragon's fire breath will. Those different wounds are going to have different effects and affect you negatively in different ways. Like I think for goblin, I said Lower laceration, because they're short and they hit you on the legs with a sword. So you take a penalty to movement. For Dragon's Fire Breath, you get, depending on the size of the dragon, full body burn, which just like makes the minimum die you can use for any check that requires you to move, which is like all of them in combat, or gives a minimum die for that. If you get hit with that again, that minimum die increases, and if you get hit with it again, it increases again, etc. All the way up until you can't roll anything but a d12 for stuff. So that's nasty. Dragons are scary. I wanted to make it scary. Let's see. Yep, photosynthesis, heal, and sunlight. Next one is night vision, or dark vision. Classic, can see in the dark. When you make checks to see in the dark, you use a d8. Easy. Simple. Water breathing, you can breathe water. I mean, this doesn't require a check. You just, while submerged in water, you can breathe as though the water were air. It took me a while to figure out how to use that one, but I'm okay, how to word that ability, but I'm okay with what it is right now. Voice mimic. You can mimic any sound. Effective checks, mimicking sound. And you get a d8 when you do this. You can perfectly mimic any sound, including the voices of others, but cannot make sounds louder than shouting with this trait. Checks that benefit with this trait. Checks that benefit when you use this trait, use a d8. So, like, you're not going to make a check, but you could use this to... do not disturb phone. Thank you. So you can use this to deceive someone, like if you're wearing a disguise and you can perfectly mimic their voice. Amazing. You can do that. But it is a biological trait. This isn't something that can be learned. Oh, we should put that in there too. Cannot be learned. And it doesn't have to necessarily be inherited, because I thought, what if you're playing a zombie? You didn't inherit the things that you get from being a zombie, but they're still biological traits. So, like, you don't age, or you don't sleep, or you don't eat. I think all of those are might be in there. But, like, you didn't inherit those, so... And I want those to still be a thing, so I'll just take away the inherited trait. Let's add in... Shoot. What were we adding in? Dang it. I lost my train of thought. And no one's here to help me. Wah. Oh well. Usually I'll have like 5 people in here, but I really messed up with that announcement. So I'll just enjoy the music of the moonlit tavern and some rain sounds instead. Just hope it warms. Oh, my legs are cold. Even under the blanket. Oh, they can't be learned. That's what we were doing. Traits cannot be learned. attributes that can be learned are called talents. And should follow that template. There. Moving on. Excellent smeller. Here it is. Effective check, smell, D8. You roll a D8 when making checks that involve smelling. Amazing. Trait, heat resistance. This was fun to make. So, natural heat resistance. Heat doesn't hurt you easily. Affected check, avoid fire. So, when a monster attacks you, it doesn't roll. It has a flat number to attack. You roll an avoid check. So if you're avoiding something that is heat or flame based, you get to roll a d8 for that avoid. Because of just a natural resistance. Like, you don't have to actually dodge, you just, like, it has a harder time affecting you. You also cannot receive wounds from them. So that Dragon Fire Breath, the full body burn, if you have heat resistance, you can't get burned. You can get hurt by fire, but you can't get burned. Trait, not hungry. You don't need sustenance. Effective check, none, no die. You don't need food or water to survive. Eating and drinking gives you no biological benefit. But you can still eat and drink if you need to. I don't want to put that in here because maybe you wanted a character that can't eat or drink. Like, if you're actually a robot and have, like, if you just put a sandwich in the mouth, it would just, like, mush up the gears instead of, like, looking like you're eating. Maybe that's, maybe you could invent that as a flaw. Or as part of the flaws of being a robot, or something like that. Trait, attractive. You look good every day. Effective check, attractiveness. I didn't know really what to put there, but the D8, you roll a D8 when making a check that benefits from your good looks, like a beauty contest, lying, seducing, etc. So that's, I think those all fit in the template that we've created. Amazing. So now we get to go to the hard ones. Ooh, okay. Before we do that, I'm sorry, whoever you are that just dropped in. I really appreciate your visit. It's been a very, very slow day here at OKSDM. But I do need... You know what? Actually, let's just plow on. I was going to take a break, but I'll take a break after this talent template, I think. We are just making a RPG with no game design experience whatsoever, but it is going to have no math. It is going to have no races and classes. You just pick and choose what attributes you want your character to have, and you invent a story reason for them to have those. And... right now, we are going on a certain attribute called talents, and that's basically like class abilities. So, done with struggles, next is talents. And here's what I have so far for it. I'll throw the template in here too. Might have to fix these templates, but we'll do that later. So, talents are learned physical abilities that can be trained and improved. When you're creating your character, you get 2 level points, which can be spent to rank up talents or sorceries. What was the... When creating a new talent, follow these rules. I might change creating to homebrewing, just because that's a thing that most people in the community know about. And that's what they call it. Like, if you make D&D content that's unofficial, it's called homebrew. And it is called homebrewing when you do it. Alright. Follow these rules, colon. The talent should affect some type of check, like a specific kind of attack. Attacks with an EX. Example. Attacks with a dagger. Or check using certain trained skill or tool, like checks to lie or tie knots. Yeah. Cool. That makes sense. The talent should have multiple ranks, with each rank getting a new effect or improving the existing talent's effectiveness. I changed my mind. Instead of going through exactly what this says, we're going to go through examples of actual talents. So the first one I've got up here is knife training. Basically, you get good with daggers. The equipment dagger allows you to make... Actually, let's pull it out. Let's find it real quick. Equipment. Crowbar. Dagger. Here it is. So, dagger is a type of weapon. You can use it to do a melee attack, and when you do that, use a d10 to do that attack versus the monster's defense score. And if you roll under it, that's a hit. Classic sneaky weapon. It gets a d10 to attack and has a range of melee. Maybe, the knife training talent proves these abilities. Cool. So right now it's a d10 and melee. That's what you get from just having a dagger with no training whatsoever. Now, if you have some training, and that training is knife training, you automatically get a d8. Once you've spent a point and get rank 1 in knife training, that d10 changes to a d8. And the range increases. You can now throw it to attack a mid-range target, which is 30 feet away. Rank 2, so if you spend another point in this, hitting a target with a dagger applies a wound effect. So monsters can take wounds. Lose 1 health instead of suffer 1 wound. I've changed that a little bit. Lose 1 health every hour until the effect is healed. This effect ends when the target reaches 1 health remaining. So you cannot like hit someone and run away and hope that they bleed out. This effect won't kill them. Especially because like a level 1 character could get this effect. I don't want them to start cheesing the game that early. Rank 3. If you hit a target with a dagger, and the target only has 2 health left, the hit deals the target loses those 2 health instead of 1. Cool. Basically, you can assassinate weak things that only have 2 health points, and you can finish things off easily. You'll notice that we're missing a rank 4. That's fine, because rank 5 is increasing the attack to a d6, which is huge. Like, that increases the chances of getting a automatic success of 1 astronomically. And then you have to spend 4 more ranks in this in order to get a d4. I think that's normal. I think that's fine. We'll see. I haven't playtested this at all, but I will. Upcoming pretty soon here, because we're getting close to being able to do that. Now let's make sure this actually follows the stuff that we have laid out. Affects some type of check. So knife trading affects attacking with daggers. Done. Oh yeah, example, attacks with a dagger. Cool. The talent should have multiple ranks. Done that. With each rank granting a new effect or improving the existing talent's effectiveness. You don't need to have a new ability for every rank. Cool. Certain ranks. Not each rank, certain ranks. Granting a new effect or improving the existing talent's effectiveness. Yeah. Effect slash ability. No ranks under 3 should allow a d6 to be rolled, and no ranks under 6 should allow a d4 to be rolled. That's fine. That's normal. Let's up that for weapons, though. Let's make it 5 and 9. If the talent, how should we word this? If the talent affects a weapon attack. Hey Ray, welcome in. Yes, actually I do. I find that streaming this sort of thing definitely keeps me on track. Like I've turned off all my distractions. I've put my phone on Do Not Disturb. It automatically mutes all of my socials. So I'm not getting notifications, no distractions, and I have another reason to focus on doing the work because I'm, streaming. Like this is going to be on the internet forever. So I don't want to get too distracted unless I'm interacting with you, the audience. That's always fun. So welcome in. Glad to have you. If you have any questions, let me know. Happy to answer. So if the blah 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 blah, if the talent affects a weapon attack, just copy paste this here. No ranks under 5. And no ranks under 9. Cool. Let's keep it like that. Yeah, I like it. Let's double check all this stuff. Yes. Oh my God. 100% Ray. Yeah. So especially when I'm in this specific process of creating a new RPG, I like the requirement that I need to explain things to the audience when they ask the questions, because it's my game and I need to be able to answer these questions. And if I can't, then there's a problem and I need to fix it, and I learn about it. It helps with the development process immensely. So I just, through rinse and repeat process of explaining how this works over and over and over again, it has become simpler and better to explain. I've gotten better at explaining it, and therefore the actual text that will appear in the final document is going to be more concise and simpler, easier to understand. So that really, really helps. Let's go through talents and check and make sure that these still all fit. So first one was knife training. We went through that. Second one, bodybuilder. Checks you make that benefit strength, use a D8. Benefit from strength, use a D8. Cool. So if you're trying to lift something, you get a D8. If you're trying to break down a door, you get a D8. This one is pretty strength or looking strong. We might change that, make this something different. If the play test and a bunch of players say, "Ooh, but I have to take bodybuilder. That's like a must-have," then we might have to nerf it. Anyway, rank 2, you can lift things twice your weight without making a check. So that is, normal deadlifty stuff. But since there's no weights lifting, well, there might be. This is genre agnostic. So that might be a thing that comes into play if you're a bodybuilder and you have to lift these heavy objects as part of the game. So we get a D6 here. This is not from strength or looking strong. Checks that are not attacks. Checks you make that are not attacks. There. That's what we were missing. Because people could argue, well, yeah, swinging with my sledgehammer benefits from being a bodybuilder. I needed to put something in there that made this specifically non-combat. Yeah, okay. Rank 3 grants a D6 on these things. Rank 3, D6. Cool. So we are well within expected range. Rank 4, you can lift things 5 times your weight without having to make a check. Cool. And then D4, strength-based checks. Yep. Okay, so D6. Rank 6, D4. Is that... No ranks under 6 should allow D4. Cool. Yeah, we're good there. So bodybuilder checks out. Next one. Runner. Checks made to run other than movement in combat get a D8. Rank 2. You can run 50 feet on a turn instead of 30. Well, that would be... So normal movement is... Oh, yeah. Conan the bodybuilder barbarian. So for runner, you can run 50 feet on a turn instead of 60. I'm not measuring this in feet. I'm measuring this in tiles, and tiles are 5 feet each. Just so people don't have to do that math constantly. Well, maybe they would have to do that math constantly. Maybe doing it in feet makes it easier. Because not every battle is going to take place on a map. This is because of who this is geared towards. I feel like the people that play this game with no math required are not going to use maps as often as people that enjoy all the math that is involved in a lot of other RPGs. So maybe 50 feet would make it easier for them to visualize in a theater of the mind combat. We're going to keep it at feet for now. Just because I've already sent this out to some people, and I want to make as few changes as possible right now. Send it out to some people for play testing. Alright, rank 3, D6. That is what we were right for non-combat running checks. Rank 4, you can run 150 feet on a turn. So that's 150 feet in a couple seconds? No, let's make it 100. Crazy fast, but still like normal. Rank 6, D4 for running based checks. Yep, rank 6, D4. Cool. So that's good. Moving on to the next one. Magic Caster. This one is complicated. I think I'm actually going to increase those by a couple eventually, because your sorceries become more potent. Sorceries are the magic abilities, like spells, in this system. And a couple of them require a sorcery check. Not all of them, but some of them. And this would just improve those checks, and that's it. So, I don't know if I want to require this in order to become a magic user, because magic is already pretty weak, like really weak at rank 1. Like, I think for Control Flame at rank 1 and 2, you can only control things that are a candle flame or smaller. So I don't want to require you to spend a point here before getting another level up and going to the actual spellcasting stuff. So I think we'll keep this as it is. Sorceries are specifically not attacks, so this still works with the rank 3 as a d6 and rank 6 as a d4. Next one is Whirlwind. Okay, this one's complicated. This one's big and huge. I'm going to be increasing these ranks by a crazy amount, because right now this is the only way you can attack multiple times in one turn. Yes, 100% okay with some ranks having no benefit. Every level up, you will get 2 ranks to spend. So in some cases, you'll have to spend them both in a talent or sorcery in order to get the next benefit. Like, we could invent ranks for all the in-betweens, but I feel like that would make talents too complicated and give out too many abilities for a single talent. And certain stuff I want to keep at higher level ranks so people can't get them too early on in the level up process. Besides, we don't have room for 2 or 3 more ranks in this card. I want these to be, you know, a 1/6 of a page is about how long all these talents are. So this talent, Whirlwind, if you hit a target with a big melee weapon, you may move 10 feet. You may immediately move 10 feet for free. You don't have to, but you can. If you hit a target with a big melee weapon, you may move 10 feet, then attack again. If you hit a target with a big melee weapon, you may move 10 feet, then attack again, then move another 10 feet. And the last one, you get 3 attacks. So, hit, move, hit, move, hit. Ooh, needs to actually, if you don't hit things, then let's keep that as is. We're not balancing stuff right now. We're just making sure that these all fit in the template that we are creating. Got to keep an eye on these. Next talent, Investigator. Rank. Aw, dang it. This should be Erg. Alright. These ranks should all be increased by 1, because you spending 1 point, you are at rank 1. There are no rank 0s. So I need to increase everything on here by 1. Oh yeah, and if I increase everything by 1, then this will then fit in our rank 3 d6 rule. Maybe we'll leave that one at 6. Let's try that. So with the investigator talent, this affects checks that involve searching objects or places for information. So looking for traps, recognizing clues, browsing a library, those would all benefit from this first rank of investigator. At the second rank, you can also do this with people. You can do this when you are trying to find the right person that has a certain piece of information. I might rule as a GM that this makes it easier to find the right shop you're looking for in order to find a specific magic item that you need or something like that. At rank 4, it increases to a D6. Or at rank 3, it increases to a D6 for objects and places. At rank 4, it increases to a D6 for people. At rank 6, it increases to a D4 for objects or information. And there is no rank for increasing for looking for people. Maybe let's fix that. Let's just throw it in here real quick. Can't hurt, right? Rank 7. D4 to find people that have certain information. Cool. Bold that. So everything so far fits into these talent rules. I still have to play test this, give this to a couple people, see if they can invent some talents for me. Talents of their own that they will be able to use in games that they play. For now, though, we are going to save this document in... Let's do... D13 attribute creation. Save it in the D13 folder. Cool. And for now, I need a break. I need to go get some more tea. And I will be back shortly. I don't know, maybe 5 minutes tops. Don't got a lot to do today. So I will see you all when I return. If I can find the be right back transition. There it is. Alrighty. Let's, we are back. Right? Yeah, we're back. It's such a... Hey, Fred! How's it going? Always nice to see you drop in. We are working on making this system homebrewable today. Right now we're just using create character attribute as a descriptor, but I'm thinking about changing it to homebrewable going forward. We've taken care of the struggles, which used to be called flaws. We have taken care of the traits, which are the biological attributes, basically racial features. We've taken care of the talents, which are learned physical abilities that can be trained and improved, so basically class abilities. And next up, we've got equipment, and then after that, sorceries. So let's start with, let's see if I have anything for equipment already. Doesn't look like it. Yeah, nothing. Alright. Let's try to keep warm. It might get above freezing today where I am. We'll see. So, let's start with an equipment template. 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 L-A-T-E. There we go. Ah, itchy nose. Okay, so for equipment, these are the cards we're using. They look like this. So equipment is sort of like this. You got your title here across the top. You've got the type of check that it will affect. In this case, crowbar, if you're opening something. Crowbars are going to help you with that. Doors, crates, barrels, what have you. And if you're using a crowbar to do that thing, you get a D8 on the check to do it. If you use a crowbar to open a door or container, you get a D8 for the check. Cool. Straightforward. So let's begin with just what's here. The template will be title, type of check affected, die used, and then description. Title. Check affected. Die used. Description. When. And then you need to be able to create your own equipment. So. Hey, Cadence. Glad you could drop in. Good luck for your game prep for tomorrow. Hope everything goes well. Whatever you have planning, your players will certainly throw you for a loop, but I have confidence in your abilities to handle it and turn it into something awesome. Creating talents. Yes, I will be using cards for spells. I'll give you a quick look at what those look like. They're almost exactly the same as talents. They've just got like this talent investigator. Here we go. Sorcery, create fire. So here's the title. Here's what rank you'll have in it. Here's the current die you'll be using when you use this. And then the description here is super long. Some of them are just barely fitting on it. But yeah, so same cards are going to be used for sorceries as talents, just because they're so similar. Just one's magic and one's not. Your Halloween special? Cadence, what are you doing? That was 4 months ago. Alright, let's do some equipment. First up is crowbar, right? That will fit into what we have. Let's make a Let's make sure that crowbar fits into whatever our first draft is, because crowbar is pretty simple. And let's copy paste the, yes, and you create a new piece of equipment. You create a new equipment, follow these rules. Let's start some bullets. The equipment must have a name. That's easy. The equipment must assist in some type of check, or allow a unique check to be made. Like, you can't tie knots without rope or string or something like that. So, it wouldn't be assisting. It would be allowing it, period, if you had rope. Equipment. Ooh, there's some magic stuff in here. So the rules are going to be... Okay. Because magic items are going to be placed in equipment. I feel like that distinction needs to be made when things are created. So... the equipment must either be classified, as magical or mundane. Cool. Crowbar, mundane, easy. Mundane. Equipment cannot give bonuses. Cannot allow dice rolls. Cannot allow dice smaller than, I don't know, a D6? Smaller than a D8. We'll see if we break that. I'm not sure if I do later. We'll call that good for now, and we'll see if everything fits in. So obviously we've got our crowbar, right? We've also got our dagger, which we looked at for just a smidge earlier. Dagger, weapon. Dagger, mundane weapon. Actually, we'll just keep it at that. We'll just denote if it's magical, and if it doesn't have magic on it, then it is mundane. Oh yes. Allows a type of check. Attacks with a dagger. Melee attack, D10. It gets a D10 to attack. When you attack with this dagger, use a D10. When you attack this with this dagger, the range is melee, and the die is a D10. The knife training talent improves these abilities. So you can have daggers, they're effective without being trained in them, but you can also be trained in them and increase your effectiveness with them. That is what the knife training talent is for. Next one, silk rope. I put this in here because I wanted something. I wanted to show that like a higher quality piece of equipment increases or decreases the die that you get to use while using this thing. So silk rope is incredibly light and strong. Checks make while using this rope get a D8. So pretty simple, straightforward. And I believe that falls under all of our... It's mundane, allows a unique check, and assists in some type of check. And it has a name. Cool. Let's see. Spiked gauntlets. Weapon. Melee attack, D10. While these gauntlets are equipped, you can make melee attacks with no training. The die for these attacks is a D10. This implies that you cannot make melee attacks without training. Maybe we should just use this to increase it to a D8 and allow melee attacks with no training. So if you have no equipment, you can still kick and punch, right? Yeah, let's change that. You're talentless. Use a D8. Your talentless melee attacks use a D8. Cool. I know I'm not supposed to be editing these right now, but I don't know. I just feel like they need fixing. Might as well do it now. Equipment. Effigy of an elder god. Magical. Definitely magical. So we go from crowbar to dagger to spike gauntlets to effigy of a magical elder god. This basically allows you to shoot lightning at people and make them insane, but it comes with a risk. We have to make sure that this qualifies, so we're going to take this step by step. So, effigy of an elder god, it has a name, yay. Does it assist in some type of check or allow a unique check to be made? Yes, it has a unique check that it can do. While holding this effigy, you can use it to summon a bolt of acid lightning to strike one enemy in mid-range. This attack uses a D8. If it hits... So yeah, that is what it allows. We'll go over the other stuff later in a second. Must be classified as magical or mundane. 100. Yes, it is magical. 100%. Cannot... Mundane equipment. Okay, so that does not apply here because this is magical. But it still fits in. Doesn't matter. Effigy of an elder god. Rock band. Love it. If it hits, so if this acid lightning hits, and I'm just saying acid lightning as a random descriptor of something that shouldn't be a thing. So what would acid lightning look like? Would it just be green? Would it be slow? Would it be just like a splash of acid that looks like a... all right. Have a good night, Fred. You take all the rest you need. Thanks for the lurk. If it hits, the enemy loses 1 health and suffers a wound. That wound is madness. The GM determines the monster's actions at random. If the attack misses, the bolt hits you, and you can take no actions other than using this effigy for the next 3 turns. This is considered a wound. Might decrease this to 6 so that it's less risky to use this thing. Yeah. No. No, I want that risks to happen. This is cool. I mean, this Cthulhu-esque statuette is awesome. I love this thing. Let's see. Equipment. Patchwork steel armor. Check. Avoid. So, if you didn't know, in this game, when a monster attacks you, it attacks you with a single number. And in order to avoid that attack, you need to make an avoid check. All dice are rolled by players in this game. So, avoid checks made by you while you're wearing Patchwork steel armor, get a D8. This shoddy armor gets the job done. Let's change that a little bit to mundane stuff. Should we separate mundane and magical a little more so that... Yeah. Avoid mundane. Cool. Make against non-magical attacks while wearing this armor. Get a D8. Cool. Yeah, that works. It's not magical, so it only gets a D8. That all clears out. Now some more techie stuff. Sledgehammer. Much more modern. So this can do two things. It has both a melee attack of a D10 as normal. It has a range of melee, obviously. But if you are attacking an object and not a creature, you get a D6, which is considerably better. It's literally almost twice as good as a D10. It's only 2 ranks higher. 2 dice sizes smaller, I mean. I think this qualifies. It's got a name, Sledgehammer. It assists in type of check or allows a unique check. So breaking stuff with a sledgehammer lets you use a D6 as opposed to fists, which would be a D10. And it allows you to make an attack with it, which is a normal D10. It is mundane, and mundane equipment cannot allow dice smaller than a D8. We're changing that because I feel like sledgehammers are too good at breaking things. Or should we? I don't know. Chat, I'm having difficulty. Should we leave the sledgehammer at a D6 and change the limit to mundane equipment cannot allow the use of a D4? Or should we leave this as it is, so mundane equipment cannot allow the use of a D4 or a D6, and sledgehammer's breaking objects gets a D8 and not a D6? I don't know which one is better. We'll go with... Oh man, this is a tough decision. We'll go with a... How high in magic do I want these worlds to be? Magical, tech, or mundane, because this is multiple worlds. Maybe I should just delete these. I don't know. I'll put it in parentheses. And for now, we'll move this up to a D8. D87. Uh-huh. Yeah, that's a thing. Okay. Moving on. Yeah, Sledgehammer's good. Next up, Tome of Eyes. Magical, 100%. Type of check affected, vision. And since it's magical, it can use a d6. While reading this book, you can see in all directions. In addition, vision checks you make while reading this book get a d6. However, if you read the Tome of Eyes for more than 1 minute straight, you lose 1 health and receive the blind wound. You cannot, and if you have the blind wound, you cannot make checks that require vision. So until that blindness gets fixed, you can't use any, you're blind. You can't see anything, even with this book. So basically this is limited to, like, real quick, can I read this book in combat? So it's not that good. It can allow you to search a room for things very quickly using this D6. Yeah, and that's what it would allow. Oh, this tea is so warm. Oh, that's amazing. Oh, it's so good. Mango ginger tea, 2 of my favorite things. I think this one is okay, as it is. Tome of Eyes, magical. No flanking in the reader. Yeah. There's no flanking in this system, just because that's complicated and unnecessary. No flanking, no... yeah, no flanking, no attacks of opportunity. It's oversimplified. And combat is very fast-paced. Every single round in combat, or your turn, you do one thing. You can move, or attack, or make a different check. All those things are allowed. You only get one check on your turn. Which means, yes, you do have to make a check to move, but usually that's pretty easy depending on the terrain. But that the goal behind that is making... Oh, yes, there is definitely surprise. So you get bonuses, like extra dice. If the enemy doesn't know you're there, you get an extra die on the attack. If you don't know the enemy is there, you can't use more than 1 die on the attack. Stuff like that. So the rules for surprise are definitely in there. Just no bonuses for flanking and stuff like that, because I kind of want this to be as theater of the mindy as it is map based. So map is definitely optional. I know most D&D games that I know of use a map, but I also know of several that use theater of the mind combat, and that's kind of what I'm going for this thing. Very imagination heavy. The last piece of equipment that we're going to go over is the laser finger. Weapon, and it is tech. Tech weapon. So with the laser finger, you have a mid-range attack, and it is a D10. This weapon replaces one of your fingers when it's installed. It is a mid-range weapon, which you can use to make attacks. Cool. Done. Maybe you'll bonus it from a talent. If you take the right talent, you can bonus from your laser finger. Attack things better or farther. Make yourself a sniper rifle finger gun. That'd be pretty dope. I'd like that. But right now, our talents are full of what we're going to release with the unpaid basic rules. Jicaro Digital Laser. No, I'm sorry, I don't get that reference. I consider myself a nerd, but that might be too deep of a cut for me. So I think our equipment is done. And that means we move on to the final boss. Sorceries. Okay. Sorceries. These are tough. So first, let's get a talent template. Actually, let's just use this. What's already in here? It's a talent. Here it is. All right, create water, for example. Yeah, I never got into Warhammer. Too many stories about a toxic community, and I'm already doing so much. Like, yeah, it looks like a ton of fun to play war games on a table with brilliantly beautiful minis and terrain. Like, I'd totally be into that, to just do that for hours on end. But this is the hobby that I'm sticking with for now. Definitely don't have time to pick up something as vast as Warhammer. Alright, create water. So you need a title. It needs to have ranks. It does not need to have an associated die check, though. So, creating a sorcery. Bullets. Name. Sorcery must have a name. The sorcery must have multiple ranks. We'll keep this at the stuff we use for talents, so all this gets pasted in here. And we can move that. Is it there? Yeah. This, all the same font, please. There we go. No ranks under 3 should allow a d6 to be rolled, and no ranks under 6 should allow a d4 to be rolled. If the talent affects a weapon attack, no ranks under 5 should allow a d6 rolled, and no ranks under 9 should allow a d4 to be rolled. Let's keep an eye on that, specifically with Create Fire. Rank 2, d10. Rank 4, d8. Oh yeah, that's well within... Maybe we should increase those. Attack dice d6 on rank 7s. That's what it looks like in here. If there is an attack die period. Yeah, okay. No rank under... Actually, let's keep it at 5. For now, I think that's okay. Because someone's going to want to create Eldritch Blast at some point, and I want that attack to be useful and good. Even though it's just an attack and doesn't really do much. Okay. My plan, if this goes off, and, you know, becomes a decently popular RPG, the basic rules will remain free, and easy to use, and, like, pay what you want at the very most. But I may also be coming out with huge compendiums of, like, 100 sorceries, like 100 different spells you can cast, 100 pieces of equipment, just, like, sit there and create using this template just non-stop. I think that would be a ton of fun. Oops. This should have been in another window. Alright. Let's see. So I think that's good for sorceries. Is it missing anything for talents? Oh, talents are actually more complicated than sorceries when creating them. Interesting. Definitely. Very badly requires a playtest. I'm going to get on that for sure. I need people I know and trust to help me out with this if they're interested. I've already got a few feelers out, asking people what they think. I'm just going to take a look. And one of the playtests will be on stream. Maybe. I might change that, because that was what my most recent charity stream I ran. That was the first goal they unlocked. This will be playtested. Well, either this or the other aspect of this game. So I'm really creating two things here. One is this dice system. The other is a system agnostic 3GM story collaboration system. So like you can play it with D&D, you can play it with Call of Cthulhu, Fallout, Pathfinder, whatever. Any RPG that has people that run the game and people that play it in two different roles. And it's basically going to be, you know, it's basically how do you use 3 GMs in one game, because thinking is hard. Thinking is hard when you have a large cognitive load. You want to be able to split it in order to better perform as you're running the game. So if 3 people are doing it and they're working well in tandem with each other, then yeah, great. So that's basically a guideline of how to do 3 people GMing. I don't know. It's only noon and I'm already tired. This is nuts. Maybe I didn't sleep well. Oh well. I think we're done with the creation aspect. Just need to, like, tweak it into actual words that can be published in a document, you know? What else can we do? We've already got a bunch of sorceries. We've got our 6 sorceries. We've got our 6 talents. We've got 9 of everything else. And that's what I want to release as part of the game. Huh. Huh. Yeah, this game is finally coming together. This might be the last time I stream it. I'll have to stream other stuff going forward. Just because, like, I feel good about where this is without playtesting it. Like, it is in a place now where you could pick it up, read it, and start playing. I need to do just some, like, formatting stuff, and actually type out what we created today into a workable document and whatnot. And I think I might be ending the stream early today. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. Thank you all for joining me. It's always a ton of fun to have you guys in chat and interact. Honestly, it's one of the things I love most about being a YouTuber is hanging out with you guys and talking about whatever I happen to be working on. It's just, you guys make the experience so much fun. And I want to start streaming more. I know I haven't had a ton of videos out recently. I do have a couple in the works. Scripts are done. I just haven't gotten around to filming them because I'm starting to realize, maybe editing videos is not as fun as I thought it was. I'll give it another shot, obviously. I want to get those videos out to you. I'm excited about them. One of them is a Back into the Monster Dive series with a big splash. So we'll see how that does. And if things don't do well, I think I'm going to switch over to mostly streaming, which honestly is just as fun, if not more, than making videos for you guys to see and seeing your comments on everything. So I hope you all have an excellent and wonderful weekend. And I just hope that you all remember that everything is going to be okay. Have a good weekend, everybody.